Hi, I'm Mrs. Shri. I teach science and engineering at Joseph Kushner People Academy for both middle school and high school. First of all, I would like to start by thanking Kohelet for providing educators like me a wonderful platform to take initiatives, to be inspired, to collaborate, and to invent, and also to reiterate our inventions.
I'm Ariella Landy. I'm a language arts teacher here at the same school, JKJ Middle School. I've been here for 5 years, and every year it's gotten better. But last year and this year, I was lucky enough to collaborate with Shri, and it's just been amazing because it's really informed my practice as a language arts teacher, and just on a personal level, it's really been remarkable.
So we would like to discuss more about our project. So our students and also we were working on the framework, which is the success strategies and the mistake mechanic framework. I would like to give a short explanation of what each one of them mean. Success strategies is like it's a hat that you wear when you see that whether your practice or popular anything that you have done has been really successful. You look at the elements that led you to success and you probably replicate it in future applications, or probably you look at the success, celebrate it, and then see ways how you can improvise your success. It could be probably, if it's a project, like how I could make the same project with less budget, or I could make the same project that caters to a different type of customers, or if it's a writing piece, how can I modify my writing to cater to a different receiver. So it is also applicable in daily life. So if I have been very successful as a teacher, how do I apply it to be a successful administrator or probably a successful house manager? And let's move on to the mistake mechanic. Mistake mechanic is again a hat which we wear when we come across things that did not go well as we thought it would be. So we look at what did not go well, defined as a mistake in this case, and just like a car mechanic, figure out what was the cause that led to this mistake or an unexpected, non-desirable behavior. And we work on the cause to make sure that we rectify the result. So we started applying this framework last year, and how we did last year was my students and we both students created projects in science classroom. They came to the language arts classroom and did a non-fiction writing based on what they created. It was amazing to see how the students started using this framework naturally in their own life, and that inspired us very much. We were so thrilled to see how they are applying it without even someone telling them to do so.
Like, we didn't think it would be transferable from the classroom to real life, but the kids, as they so often do, took the project and ran with it. And we were hearing it from all kind of parts of the school. Our former 8th graders, now 9th graders, came back and told us, and then it trickled down to the lower school. And then, even in our personal lives, we both had personal experiences with it where we were like mistake mechanics or success strategists, as teachers, as friends, as spouses, as a Jew. It was pretty remarkable. So, there was really this huge application and transferability to real life, and it really expanded out of the classroom.
So we came together again, and then we started thinking how we can develop a project that will just not stop within the classroom but go beyond the walls of the classroom. So in my science classroom, students started designing a board game that was more applicable for grades 1 and 2, where the players will develop 2 important skill sets. One is science-based skill sets, and the other one is a skill set that could be an appreciation for Jewish value, or it could be thinking about Jewish holidays, or it could also be connecting with a geographical location in Israel. So it was wonderful. The beginning of the project was awesome because we both launched it together. We had Judaic Studies teacher coming into our classroom, talking to the students about how they could establish connections. And our students went to the actual customers who were the first and the second graders in this case, and went with a list of questions to find out what they really like about board games, what kind of board games would they really enjoy, so that they brought all the feedback and then they developed their prototypes. Once the prototype was done, they took it back to the customers, tested it out in the field, and acted like a mistake mechanic and success strategist to see what worked really well, what needs some kind of rework. So they wore the hat of the success strategists and enhanced their projects to make their final models. And they wore the hat of the mistake mechanic to modify the areas where they have already some errors. In fact, some students even said that the first and the second graders said that our project is boring. And then we asked them why it was boring, and we collected this information, and then they totally rechanged it. And it was wonderful to see how students took it very nicely with the hat of the mistake mechanic, not clinging on to what they thought was right to be accepted by others. So it was amazing to see how they worked on it. And also, I saw that how they started using it in other areas. Mrs. Landy will talk to you more about it.
So yeah, I guess just as I said earlier, it was really remarkable how it kind of had that trickle-down effect to all different areas and subject matters. I saw it in the hallways. We noticed it in particular in, I guess, the guidance department. Students very often are very hard on themselves, and they're like, I got a 70, so therefore I'm a bad person, and they would internalize it. But now with this new kind of strategy and skill set, we kind of helped, hopefully, the students come to the conclusion that mistakes are natural, normal, and can be good. And like, we make mistakes as teachers, as people, all the time. So with that rhetoric kind of, being with that mind frame being changed, you kind of change the tape that you play back to yourself. It's almost like cognitive behavioral thinking. It's shifting your own narrative into basically saying, actually, these mistakes are good. I won't make them again because I'll do A, B, and C. And then also, what we found hugely important is in an environment and a society that is highly anxious. Students in general are getting more and more anxious, and we wanted them also to focus on, and this is very important, particularly as Jews, as practicing Jews, to focus on the good. So we found actually I found one of the hardest parts of the project was to get the kids to look back and retroactively find their successes and say, like, I turned it in on time, or I kept my notes organized, or the board game actually got an 8 out of 10 rating from these first and second graders. So obviously our project was implemented in first and second and then middle school grades, but it is so transferable, the idea, that I've found it, applicable. And we linked a lot of videos where we interviewed our colleagues from all over, from within Joseph Kushner Hebrew Academy and the high school, Judaic Studies, who else did we interview? We interviewed guidance. We interviewed, we figured out that that was really implementable in Tefillot, where people, kids were saying that they naturally changed their devotion to prayer because they looked at their good that they were doing and then agreed to continue that and then tried to fix their own mistakes. So more importantly, though, at the end of the day, a school-based project is great, and we all remember them from when we were in elementary school, but we really wanted it to be mostly applicable and highly transferable to real life. So to familial relationships, to interpersonal interactions, to the emotional resilience levels of our students who are going to be the leaders of the next generation, the next greatest thinkers. We wanted it to impact their study time on a personal level, their extracurriculars, really just anything that could be taken outside of the classroom. We saw it happen so naturally, and we tried to like capitalize upon that and say, okay, let's go with this. The students are doing it. Let's kind of like let them lead to where it can go. And we were so impressed and like almost like baffled how amazing they took it and how naturally and organically it just took off. And now we're hearing students in high school coming back, and we have testimonies from high school students in writing and on video just saying that it actually changed like their lives, which is a pretty amazing thing for little project that they did in science and language arts. So
it was so funny, like when the students were talking about how it could be applicable, reflecting such framework in their sibling relationship.
Oh yeah.
And it was amazing to see how they started thinking it while like they were davening, like how it's important to daven with a lot of devotion.
Yeah, absolutely. And then so, I mean, I didn't speak to the language arts piece much, but as an English teacher, the writing process is probably 95% editing, because once you get your thoughts down on paper, if you don't kind of pre-edit in the form of organize your thoughts, and then if you don't post-edit in the form of figuring out that you wrote something coherent and cohesive or not, then that is very much wearing the hat of a mistake mechanic and a success strategist. So we wanted really to kind of inculcate our students with this idea that it's applicable obviously to science and very much so to language arts, but it's also applicable to their davening, their tshuva, their repentance as a Jew, their just the way they act as community members and family members and friends, and really just kind of like keep taking it globally as they grow up and just apply to their real life.
In fact, we started applying it to our real life.
Yeah, totally.
So every day, like when I'm stuck with something, instead of feeling guilty about it, I start using this mechanism, like where I'm like, okay, this did not work. So what did I not do well? Like, how did this happen? And then try to work on the cost rather than thinking about, oh my God, I didn't do this, so I feel so bad about it. So it is really making me a better person, and I also think it's making me more efficient.
So yeah, I guess just as a mom, I hate making lunches for my kids. It's just like the bane of my existence. And then I realized that, I should wear the hat of a success strategist and see what works. And then also be a mistake mechanic, see what doesn't work, because that's the height of insanity, is to do something over and over and keep making those same mistakes. So I actually was standing there at night at 9:30 in my kitchen, and I started explaining that frame of reference to my husband, and we kind of took it upon ourselves to really implement it within our own discipline of our own kids. So it really was so transferable, and I'm so thankful that we came up with this idea, and the students liked it, and we just liked it, and hopefully as many students as possible can take this idea, wherever they go, in their jobs, in their lives, in future.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.